it's already Monday again. These weeks are just flying by. What's going on, guys? Gray Disciple back with another video. It's time, man. Gray's Mail, and I got some really good questions. I got some funny ones, some ones about YouTube and the game, and also I'm noticing a lot of questions about my faith. I don't know if it's because I'm so open with my faith and you guys feel comfortable with asking me questions about what I believe or explaining, stances that Christians have, but we're gonna get to those. The first one, we'll go with the light one right off the bat. It comes from Matrix7, and he asks me, what was my first job? Now, of course, when I was a little kid, me and my brothers and my sister, we'd go around and we'd wash our neighbors' cars for like $5, or we would rake leaves in the wintertime or mow people's yards in the summer. I don't really consider that a job. When I think of a first job, it's when you go work for a company and you get a paycheck and they take taxes out of it. My very first job was at a pizza place called Mr. Jim's Pizza. It was like a dream come true, okay? Dream come true, because I love pizza, and Mr. Jim's was my favorite pizza place. And I learned everything about the pizza business. How to make a pizza. There's really not a whole lot that goes into it, but man, here's the greatest things about working at a pizza place, okay? When somebody calls in to place an order for pizza, a lot of times they will call back and cancel their order and either put in a new order or just say they're going to do something else. Well, if that pizza is already in the oven, when it comes out, the employees get to eat it. So sometimes the employees would go in the back and they'd make fake phone calls into the pizza place to make these pizzas, knowing that they would be canceled so they could eat it. I'm just saying, but it was a great job. I lasted there for about 3 months, and I ended up getting fired because of my brother. And that is a whole nother story. If you guys want to hear about it, just ask me. All right, here's another one. This one's about YouTube. So I got a question. It comes from a guy named Tracy Prindeville. And here's what he asks. He says, what's that one piece of advice for someone who wants to start a YouTube channel for Call of Duty? Now, let me tell you this right off the bat. I'm coming up pretty close to my year anniversary on YouTube. It's November 12th, and I'm planning on doing quite a long, substantial video about what I've learned on YouTube, or possibly a little bit of a series for that week. Just breaking down all the ins and outs of what I've gone through and what I've seen happen and how many people I've seen come and go. Now, let me tell you this, Tracy. There's two types of Call of Duty channels on YouTube. The majority of them, let's say there's 50,000 channels. 45,000 of them are just guys who play the game and want to upload a clip every now and then. They do something really cool in the game. Maybe they'll talk over it. Maybe they'll put some music to it, or it may just be the raw gameplay. These guys are not what you would consider a YouTuber in the sense of people who upload 2 to 3 videos a week. They're just an average person just showing off what they can do in the game, and it's great because that's where some really amazing clips come from. But then there's the actual grinder YouTubers, the ones who want to make something out of this, who upload near daily like I do, which there really are not that many channels who do this, and then they have commentaries over it and that kind of thing. So here, my piece of advice to you is you've got to decide how serious you want to be about this, and there's nothing wrong with either route, okay? If you really want to make something out of a YouTube channel, you have got to consistently upload, and let me just tell you right now, it's not easy. And you get discouraged on a weekly basis. You question it every week at least one time. Is this worth it? I'm putting in all this work. I see my views go up and down. Is it worth it? So you've got to decide right off the bat, Tracy, what do you want? Do you just want to show off what you do every now and then and have a good time? Or do you really want to make something out of it? And if you really want to make something out of it, understand that it's going to take a long, hard process to do it. I've uploaded nearly every single day for a year, and you can see the size of my channel. Now it's bigger than a lot of the other YouTubers that started with me at the same time, but in order for me to get up to the level of like 25,000, 50,000, 100,000 subscribers, the grind that I'm gonna have to go through, man, just prepare yourself. So that's my advice. You've got to decide what kind of channel you want to be, all right? Here's the easy question that I can answer. This one comes from Oil Dog MX? I don't know. He says, number one, do I believe in reincarnation? No, sir, I do not believe in reincarnation. I am a Christian. I do not believe that you die and come back as a bug. I don't know where people got that. Something about how all of our souls are just like a swirling mess, and everything is recycled back into the universe. I never understood it. I never got it. So no, I do not believe in reincarnation. You asked me where I got my name from. I've done a couple videos on it. I'm not going to go into it. Maybe I'll link it in the description for you, where I got Gray Disciple from. It's a pretty good story. This is a funny one. This one comes from Jared Hamrick. Again, I think he was in one of my previous mail videos. He says, "What is the cheesiest romantic thing you have ever said to your wife?" It took me a little bit, okay, but I remember we weren't married yet, and it was around, I want to say, Valentine's Day, and I was trying to come up with something to write her in her card, and here's what I came up with. I said, "I may want a million things in this world, but I only need one." Oh gosh. The cringe is real, man. It's real, but I was just a little kid, man. I was 19 years old when I wrote that. This is a cool one. This question comes from Thomas, and he asks, "Have I ever had a near-death experience? If so, what happened?" All right, now, if you're talking about have I ever had a near-death experience where I was unconscious and I saw a light and all that kind of stuff, no. But have I been in a position where I could have died? Yes, twice. Two things come to mind. The first one was when I was in 5th grade. It was summertime, and I was at a neighbor's pool. And there was a ton of kids, and I am not exaggerating. We're talking about 20 to 30 kids in this pool. And there was a little boy in 4th grade who wanted to fight me, physically fight me. And my brothers were with me, and it was just all of a sudden everybody started crowding in this area, and I got pushed under the water. And I was under there for a good minute until my eldest brother Daniel pulled me up. I thought I was gonna die. I seriously thought I was going to die. Scared the crap out of me. I almost did not go back into a pool for 6 months, and that was in the summertime in Texas, man. And then the other one happened when I was in 6th or 7th grade. My father worked for a company, and the owner of this company had a yacht. He also had a speedboat and a wave runner, and it was on a lake in Texas called Lake Texoma. It's on the border of Texas and Oklahoma, hence the name Texoma. It's a huge lake, and so we would go out, every 2 to 3 weekends. We'd go to this slip where he would keep his yacht and the boat and the wave runner, and we got to use them whenever we wanted to because my father was an executive of this company. So I was on the wave runner. My father and my mother and brothers and sister were on the speedboat, and I was riding in front of them. And if you guys know anything about wave runners, how one of the fun things to do on it is to, you turn really hard and you spin in the water and you throw water everywhere. I didn't realize how close my father was following behind me in the speedboat, and we were probably going 30 to 40 miles an hour, and I spun out right in front of him, and I turn around, and as I'm doing that 360, I see him, and he yells, and he turns quickly out of the way. I mean, we're talking 2 seconds. He should have run me over. So that would be my closest 2 near-death experiences. All right, now the last question that I'm going to answer, and this one is a little bit more in depth, and this is probably one of the best questions anybody's ever asked me on this series so far, and it comes from Iris Engine, and he says this. He said, "Gray, what happens to all the people before Jesus? Did they go to hell?" As a Christian, we believe that the only way to get to heaven is through Jesus, but that's what it is now. But before Jesus, what was it? How did people go to heaven? Well, there's a verse in Genesis chapter 15 verse 6, and it's about Abraham, and it says, "Abraham believed the Lord, and he credited it to him as righteousness," meaning that the belief in God alone back then was enough to take you into heaven. Okay, let me read you this parable, and I'm going to explain what this means. And this is from Matthew chapter 20 verse 9. So just bear with me as I read this to you, and then I'm going to explain what it means. Okay, and it's interesting because it's kind of a quick walk through the Bible, and it gets you to the point of what we believe as a Christian. It says, and this is a parable of Jesus. He's speaking to his disciples. He says, "A man planted a vineyard and rented it out to a vine grower, and went on a journey for a long time. At the harvest time, he sent a slave to the vine grower so that they would give him some sort of produce from the vineyard. But the vine growers beat him and sent him away empty-handed. And he proceeded to send another slave, and they beat him also and treated him shamefully and sent him away empty-handed. And he proceeded to send a third, and this one was also wounded and cast out. The owner of the vineyard said, 'What shall I do? I will send my beloved son. Perhaps they will respect him. But when the vine growers saw him, they reasoned with one another, saying, this is his heir. Let us kill him so that the inheritance will be ours. So they threw him out of the vineyard and killed him. What then will the owner of the vineyard do to them? He will come and destroy these vine growers and will give the vineyard to others. So let me explain what that means. The actual parable talks about how God sent prophets to Israel to tell them to repent of their ways and turn back towards God. But if you go all the way back to the time of Abraham and work your way all the way to Jesus, let me tell you all the times that God has tried to rectify the situation of man and sin. Well, first, he allowed them just to believe directly in him by sacrifice. And when that didn't work, then he sent the law to Moses. You know, the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not. Well, when the people disobeyed the law, that sent them down. Okay, so then God was like, okay, if you're not going to listen to the law, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you judges. Hence the book of Judges. These were great men brought to lead Israel back to faithfulness in God. And when they denied the judges, God said, fine, I'm going to give you kings. So here comes the kings. The kings are going to lead the people. During the time of the kings, there were prophets. And you guys know the prophets. Isaiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, Hosea, Habakkuk, Micah. On and on and on. He sent prophets, and the ideas were the prophets were the mouthpieces of God, screaming at the people to repent and turn back and follow God. When all was said and done, he had tried the law, the kings, the judges, the prophets, and nothing would work. He said, fine, I'm going to send you my son Jesus, the Messiah, the Christ, the chosen one. And I'm going to send my son to you, and he's going to bring you back to me. And what did the people do? They killed him. So that's the parable of the prophets. So you ask me, what did all the people do before Jesus? Well, there were other routes at that point for them to come back to God, to follow God, to worship God. And it was a choice at that point too. And now the choice is so drawn in the sand. You either believe or you don't believe. And I know so many of you guys who listen to my channel think I am crazy because I'm a Christian. But you know what? It's what I believe. It's what's been proven to me in my life. It's what I've seen out there in the world. All right, these are some crazy questions. I want more. You guys, ask me anything because I get a lot of enjoyment out of this, and I still got, I think, around 20 more. So more to come, I promise. All right, leave your comments down below. If you enjoyed it, and I hope you did, hit that thumbs up button as always. Subscribe if you're new here because I'm here every day.